So hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a get ready with me slash story time. So if you want to see how I curl my hair in like less than 5 minutes and hear a story, just keep watching. I kind of already got started on this front piece, but that's about it. But before I started, I applied this heat protectant oil. You can apply whichever one you prefer, but this is the one I use. And then I just start curling my hair. I usually section it off, but since I'm lazy, I'm just gonna do it like this. When I'm lazy, this is usually what I do. I just curl it while it's down. But anyways, I decided I'm gonna tell you guys 2 short stories. They involve 2 of my cousins and their sisters, so I thought it'd be cool to tell the stories together. And so yeah. So I just took this front piece and section it randomly because I don't like for it to look like my life is together. I just like it like a messy curl. And I like it away from my face, so I curl it away. But anyways, okay, so the first story was when one of my cousins, well, her and her family had came down to visit me. It's my 2 cousins, and it was my aunt and my uncle. So they came to visit us. They live pretty far from where I live. I'm not going to say where they live because then that would give it away. But yeah, they live pretty far from where I live, so they'd come down once in a while. And me and her have always been really close because we're kind of close in age. She's a little bit older than I am, but we're still close in age, and she's pretty cool. So anyways, I love to play with her all the time. So this one day, I think because they had been in a car, and like I said, it's a long drive, I think my cousin was tired, and since we were little, she probably was really tired. And I wanted to play. Like, she was there, hadn't seen her in a long time. I was excited and I wanted to play. And she had fell asleep on the couch. And I was like, ugh, come on, let's play. And she just like kept falling asleep. So my dumbass, she was sitting on the couch falling asleep, and my mom always had like fake plants in the living room. I don't know why, but she's always like fake plants in the living room. And there was one like on the coffee table, and I remember I grabbed, hi baby. So she was falling asleep on the couch, and I decided that I was tired of her falling asleep, so I was gonna wake her up. But I was trying to be silly. Like, it wasn't like a malicious, like a get up and play with me. It was just like funny, get up and play with me. And I decided that I was gonna grab one of the fake plants and break like one of the branches on it. And so I grabbed the branch and I stuck it in her nose, but I didn't think that I stuck it pretty far in her nose. And when I did that, like it like tickled her nose, so I started laughing, and she started gushing blood, like just like blood just started gushing out of her nose. And that, like, when it happened, she was like, oh my god, my nose is bleeding, but she was asleep, so she didn't like realize that I had shoved a branch in her nose. So she like ran to the restroom and started like wiping her face, and she's panicking. Like, we're really little, we're like 6, and so she's panicking, like, why is all this blood coming out of my nose? And at that time my aunt walked in, and she walks in and her daughter's nose is just like gushing blood. So she panics and she's like, oh my god, Mija, do you feel good? And everybody was putting like wet towels on her forehead and asking her if she felt good, and she was just looking around like, wow, I feel fine. Like, and she just didn't know what had happened. And I was like, oh my god. And then later on that same day, I was like, I shoved a branch in your nose, but don't tell anybody because I'm gonna get in trouble. And she was like, oh my god, dumbass, that's why my nose was bleeding. But it was so funny. It was so funny. So funny. Good times. But so I curled the back of my hair, but I forgot to tell you guys. I forgot to record it. But I wanted to finish telling you guys the story, my most embarrassing story. Oh my goodness. So my older cousin, which was my little cousin, the cousin that was my age, her sister. So like I said, she was my sister's age. So she had came over to visit us for the summer. And since she was my sister's age and she was a little bit older, they sent her by herself. And so she was just visiting us for the summer. So I don't remember where my sister was because she wasn't home at this time. It was just me and my cousin. And so it was just me and her. And I remember I had a whole bag of hot Cheetos, like the big bags of hot Cheetos, just to myself. I had ate the entire bag to myself. And I was little. I was like 5. And because I remember this happened before the time I had poked my cousin in the nose, because I was way smaller than that. And my stomach started hurting, like, because I had ate the big ass bag of hot Cheetos to myself. And my stomach started hurting and I got diarrhea. And so this is so embarrassing. So I had my stomach started hurting, so I went to the restroom, and I guess I shitted on myself, but it was diarrhea, so I shitted on myself, and it was red, and I had never seen red shit. So I was like, oh my god, I started my period. I was like, I started my period. And my cousin, and I called my older cousin because it was just me and her, and I was like, oh my god, I started my period. But like, she didn't come inside, she just was like on the other side of the restroom door. And I was like, I started my period. She was like, what do you mean you started your period? And I was like, I started my period. I was like freaking out, but I thought it was cool, like I started my period. And my cousin calls my mom, and she's freaking out, and she's so dingy. She was like, oh my god, Anais started her period. And my mom was like, are you sure? Like, she's only 5. Like, are you sure she started her period? And she's like, well, she said that she started her period. And my mom was like, well, go in there and check. And she's like, okay. And I was always super embarrassed, like I didn't want nobody to see me naked and stuff. So I was like, okay. So she comes in the restroom, and she was like, oh my god, Anais, you did not start your period, you just shit on yourself, like it's hot Cheeto shit. And I was so embarrassed. And she called my mom, and she's like, she didn't shit on herself. She didn't start her period, she just shit on herself. Couldn't stop laughing. And she's like, y tú también de pendeja que le crees. Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing because forever afterwards they would always make fun of me, like, oh, remember when you thought you started your period? And even like now they'll be like, oh, remember when you... It was so fucking embarrassing, dude. So embarrassing.